All right. Walk on, y'all. It's Dimz, and we are now in 2023. And welcome back to another devlog video. This is also going to be an update video. So, we're doing both in one. So I hope you enjoyed. And yeah, let's just get things started. But first things first, I'm going to talk about is the devlog stuff. There's going to be a simple timestamp, basically, of the devlog and the update video. Just a little, since I'm doing them both. So if you're here for the devlog, that's going to be first. If you want to just jump to the update video or update of the channel or myself, whatever, you can do that. Obviously, 2023 now, and it's been a while before I had another devlog update. And the update video will cover most of that. However, the devlog is going to cover what's happening right now with the game I'm creating. So, if you remember my last video of how things were going, we had this little board guy, this 3D model board guy, just bouncing around. And that's how it was until, I'm just going to be truthful with you. Like I said in the first devlog or such, this was going to be just me video documenting my trek into making this game. I've made games before, but this right now was a new engine for me, this is my first time using Unity. So I was learning the engine as I was trying to make it and trying to go on. Also, the next thing I was doing was I got a Unity template for a fighting game, the universal fighting game, I think Unity template. So what I was doing was kind of twofold. I was learning a new engine, while learning how to use a template in said new engine. So this was twofold. So what I did off screen was I practiced and tried to learn both at the same time. There's very different courses or videos on YouTube you can look to, like how Unity works. And there's very different videos of how you can look to of how the Ultimate Fighting Game engine works as well. The channel actually, during me making this myself, the Ultimate Fighting Game engine, the Unity thing, had actually started uploading videos and updating their tutorials on how to use their template, which was great, and I was starting to learn a lot from it. So with all that learning, I decided to practice. And what's the best way of practice? Well, just doing it. So what I was starting to do, since, it was twofold, I was learning both new engine, new template, and just going back and forth, I decided to just make a lot of other mini games. Obviously, the more you use a system, the more you get familiar with it. And since I wasn't that familiar with it, I wanted, to familiarize myself with it more so I can make my game as easy or as best as possible. So now... but here was the thing. I started off making different little micro games in Unity. Obviously, I don't have anything to show because it was just basically balls moving around left and right, so I can just see how the system works. So I was doing that to familiarize myself with the Unity engine. And then I was like, okay, I kind of got it down. So what's next? Well, what turned out to be next was, how do I familiarize myself with the universal fighting engine? Well, make micro games in that template or the engine. That's, the addition to Unity based on whatever. So now the plan for that was, hey, I just guess make a small fighting game. Why not? So what had happened with one of those micro games, it became bigger than I thought it would. I'm very happy for it, but that does mean there's going to be a small change now in the series. Well, so let me, in my last 2 videos, or I guess 3 videos, I'm actually not sure how much videos I made before, but in the last few videos I made for the devlog series, I noticed that I actually didn't tell you what game project this was, or what the components, or what the gameplay flow, or what kind of fighting game it was going to be. I didn't really mention any of that thing. I don't think so. So, in my mind, I was like, since I didn't mention those things, would it really be a big loss if I put a hold on it? Because here's the thing. the things that I was planning for this little game, or not, well, it's not his game, but this game that the boar character was going to be in, it will require me to modify the template just a bit. With templates, obviously, it's, you just follow it, but with a game engine, you can modify a template, you can add on, you can take away, and like I said, you can just make modifications. This is not gonna. It wasn't gonna be a standard fighting game, so there was gonna be a few or a lot of modifications that I'll have to make. And since I wasn't familiar with the template itself, I decided to try to make a simpler game that's more that would suit itself more for this template, and it kind of got a tiny bit bigger. So now let me put a real pause and introduce the game. Well, I want you guys to see Project Cage. Now, Project Cage is coming along, or I'm just going to be saying Cage for the rest of the video. And obviously, Project Cage, that this is its project name. Well, me and my companion, Mr. Kermode Bear, well, he was helping me out with making the game in general, and he also was helping me out with making this one. This one was actually more of his idea, since I was like, hey, maybe we should try doing something smaller just to see how this engine works. He had this idea, we started working on it, and it kind of became bigger than than we thought it was going to be, and it's actually really kind of fun. So using this wealth of knowledge, we're basically using Cage as the practice game of so we can know the ins and out of this new template and see how much I can actually push, pull it, and tweak it for the other game that I'm going to be working on, featuring the boar character. So now that we are doing this, it's going to actually be a little bit more simpler. And as you can see, we worked a little bit more on this than what the board game had intended. This game uses 2D sprites or 2D assets, hand-drawn assets, anything you want to call it. The characters are 2D. They're not 3D models. Which, besides a lot of drawing, it really changes the workload or the workflow that we had planned on making it. So essentially now, I am putting that little board game, or the game with the board character, I'm going to put that on the back burners until I finish this project. This project has a smaller workflow than the other one, and it has a smaller workload as well. It's all around a smaller game. However, it still is pretty intensive for the things that we're doing for it, and especially with different battle system. But it's all together going to be something new, and it's going to be what this devlog series is going to mainly focus on because of that. Now, I know the series has started as me saying, I was going to show you the nitty-gritty and the ugly of game development. Well, here's one of the uglies, or the nitty-gritties. Sometimes the initial project you start on doesn't end up being the final project, and that's okay. If you are working on a game or thinking of to work on a game, while in development, even in brainstorming, if the game drastically change to the point where you're making a brand new game, that's fine, and that happens. This happened in the development of Overwatch. It was supposed to be a completely different game. I believe Activision Blizzard was trying to make an MMORPG, but things changed and they basically reused the assets to make the hero shooter Overwatch, so that's fine. And even games like Toby Fox's Deltarune, or I guess I would say for this to be Toby Fox's Undertale, because I do not know the source right now, but I believe Deltarune was actually the game he wanted to make first. But for some reason, it kind of transformed and went into an offshoot of Undertale first. Like he kind of made Undertale during the initial development of Deltarune, and then after the success of Undertale, he kind of went back and revisited Deltarune, and made the game that he set out to make in the first place. And honestly, with all the skills and I guess funding and the fans he gained from it, I believe it did make Deltarune a better game than it once could have been. Well, that's gonna kind of happen with me. So basically, I'm using this as the practice game while it's going to be an actual game that, this is what I'm going to mainly learn the systems of the Ultimate Fighting Engine with, as well as Unity. So that when it's time to actually make the game featuring the board character, it would be better than what it would be better than what it would have been if I wasn't so fresh and new as I am right now. I'm just getting my little seasoning right now. I'm getting seasoned. With that said, the other thing I was doing for the board game was that I was documenting every single time I touched the game. Well, since I've been working on Cage and I haven't documented everything since working on it, I guess I'm going to be changing that flow up just a tad bit. And I will just keep coming. My devlogs will most likely be focused on updates now to the game instead of just documenting every little thing. Because, heck, I've already made a good chunk of the game or a lot of the assets without documentation. I'm still gonna document and just update as I go along and just keep going and going. And hopefully, it'll be playable really soon. With the current workflow we have, it may be playable in, let's say, by May. That's what we are planning on, just for it to have a playable, functional build. The whole game won't be done by that, but from what we're doing, it's going to probably be playable by that time. So I hope that doesn't dissuade you too much because, hey, I'm still making a game. It's just a very different game than I initially set out to, but the other game is going to be on the back burners, and I will definitely return to that project definitely later on in the future, but not right now. So all in all, this is going to end the section for the devlog. Basically, the game transformed into a new game, and that's what I'm going to be showing you. Going to be showing you updates, but I'm not going to be showing you every single time I open up the file to work on it. I will give you substantial updates and plan for a playable version of the game to be in May. Now, playable doesn't mean complete. It's probably going to be just the two characters that you see. They're going to be in a quote-unquote completed state, and you will find, and just join me for the ride if you want, and we'll see where things go. Now for the update video. So, why did it take me so long to come out with another part of the devlog? Well, as I kept saying, even in the comments, since, I'd read all the comments, I'm not that big of a channel. And even if I ever do get that big of a channel, I'm probably still going to read up all the comments and reply to as many people that I need to or want to. So what took me so long? Well, life. Life happens. I'm not really just trapped in a room and I can just do whatever I want. I'm just some 20-something-year-old dude who lives with his bros. The first that happened was I moved. So moving was a big move. It was a pretty big move. So basically, I had to focus on moving first, and the move actually stopped me from working my day job. And the day job wasn't anything fancy, nothing big, but I had to get another job on top of that. So, and I had to actually do that with the quickness, not because of bills. Obviously bills did, the bills is a ticking time bomb as well, but it wasn't because mostly bills. It was mostly because number two, my PC that I was using at the time exploded. It was an older PC, granted, but it basically exploded and I couldn't continue my dev progress on it. So I had to move my stuff to my laptop. But even then, I needed a new computer so I can just continue. So that kind of left me just sitting there. I had to get a job, had to replace my PC. I moved into a new house, which if you didn't, if you haven't experienced moving into a new place and starting kind of from zero, that means you need furniture, you need food, you need to know the local area, you need to get extra things that you didn't have in your other place. I have more room, so I can actually get a bigger desk. I basically, I basically had to do a lot, and there wasn't time for me to actually sit down and not only work on the game, but just make videos in general. I was just doing way too much, or I even couldn't do a lot, even if I wanted to, because my editing PC exploded. The PC that I had, it was also the PC that I was doing the game stuff on. I had to basically restart everything and, find a job on top of that. So I did. I took myself a little break, and I also found myself a job. Now, with the things when you get a new job, well, you better keep up appearances because, hey, you can't really, when you first get a job, that's your little testing area. And in that little new testing area, you shouldn't really take off work, yada, yada, if you want, just to be in the good graces so they won't fire you or you won't be on a list and yada, yada. So I had to pick up a job, full-time job. So I try to do stuff in between. One things I did do in between, since I couldn't really edit videos anymore, was I played a few retro games. I visited a lot of games that I had in my childhood. And I just been writing down a lot of video ideas outside of like my game development, because playing games, you should play, if you're making a game, you should play other games for research. It's actually really good. You can see how other games work. You can see what was fun, what is fun, what stood the test of time, ideas that you wish people would revisit again. And, just a lot of cool stuff. Heck, the video I released recently, the Teen Titans video, when I talked about Teen Titans Battle Blitz, that was a game that I played in my childhood. Honestly, it didn't hold up as well as I thought it would in my childhood. But it's definitely a game that I swear it had multiplayer. I swear it had a versus mode, but it doesn't. That's definitely a game that I am over here thinking of recreating. Just basically remaking it just with online, so you can just, or with a versus mode, so you can just fight your friends in this janky ass game. Because it really is janky. And honestly, that's one thing I really wish to do. I really want to just play a few retro games, and sometimes I would like to just remix them just to be played in this day and age. New hardware, new modes, and all that other stuff. I just think those things are kind of cool. I love projects that remakes games or demakes games, and they're making it work, or just giving it extra features that it didn't have. I love modding. That also works too. But since you can't really mod a Flash game anymore, just remaking it won't be so bad, especially with how little assets they actually use and how straightforward their mechanics were, especially in the Teen Titans one. But all that takes time and all that takes money. So I have most of my time took up by working my job, so I can just have money. Which, besides, just playing a few games for research and stuff, I've been writing down a lot of video ideas. I have enough video ideas to probably release one video a week for this whole year. I'm going to try to release a video each week, but with my little full-time job, sometimes I get home and I'm wiped. I just want to relax. I just want to watch some TV, then fall asleep, and then just start the cycle all over again until I get a day off. And then even on my day off, sometimes I just want to not do anything. So that's going to probably hit me a few times. Oh, excuse me. That will hit me a few times, but honestly, I'm going to try. 2022 wasn't a great year for me. Now, it wasn't a bad year, but it's definitely a year I'll call a setup year. That 2022 definitely set me up so I can definitely be better and I guess succeed farther in 2023. And that's what I'm planning to do. So, shoot, I'm going to actually take all the stuff that I already laid down the foundation for, already set myself up for, and I'm going to try to make 2022 a 2023. See, new year, still calling it the old year. I'm gonna try to make 2023 greater than what I did in 2022. Hopefully, things go my way. Especially at the tail end of 2022 with my job, it took up more of my time because, hey, we were extra busy during the holiday season. Like, subtract what you would probably know from the holiday hustle and bustle, seeing people buying gifts, yada yada, and the job was really demanding because that was probably like the peak season of the job as well. So it's like, oh, that's just a double fold that I had to deal with. But what you did see was I did start releasing a video or two at the tail end because, hey, I got new hardware and got new software for video editing, game making, and content creation in general. I even got a new video editing software. I now use DaVinci Resolve instead of Adobe Premiere. I just feel like it was just time to upgrade and try something new. So that took me a while to even learn how that works. So, so all in all, yeah, it's been pretty chaotic where I couldn't, keep up with my devlog as much as I wanted to. But hey, that's life. 2023, I got actually a really good head start. I'm going to try to keep that momentum rolling and just keep things going. And I also hope you all would still follow me for that ride. Obviously, videos will still come out about random topics, talking about fighting games, fight sticks, and all this other stuff. But also, yeah, devlogs is something cool that you could definitely stick around my channel to keep updated on. And I really hope you do. I think that's where I'm going to end it here. Thank you all so much for actually listening to this video all the way through, if you did. And obviously, hey, there's going to be more devlogs. There's going to be more videos from me. I'm just hoping they all come out in a timely manner. And definitely, I'm going to push myself because I got a lot of momentum. And I'm going to try to make 2023 a really great year. All right. With all that said, I've been Dimz, and I will talk to you all later.